Silence has always been misunderstood in a world that values noise, arguments, and constant explanation. Many people think that speaking up in every situation, responding to every insult, and proving every point makes them stronger, but the truth is that silence often carries more weight than 1,000 words ever could. There is a unique power that comes from holding back, from knowing when to let your actions, your presence, and your self-control do the talking. This power is not loud, it is not aggressive, but it is undeniable. When you choose silence, you are not choosing weakness, you are choosing to control the narrative without even speaking. Silence is a form of discipline that requires inner strength. It is easy to argue, it is easy to lose your temper, and it is easy to shout back at those who try to bring you down. But it takes extraordinary willpower to stay still, calm, and unmoved when someone expects you to break. The beauty of silence lies in its unpredictability. When someone provokes you, they are expecting a reaction. They want you to defend yourself, they want you to lose composure, they want you to give them proof that they are still in control of your emotions. But when you stay silent, you confuse them. They realize that you are not dependent on their validation, you are not bound by their expectations, and you cannot be manipulated by their words. That realization shakes them more than any argument you could ever win. Think about how silence works in real-life situations. Imagine being insulted in a room full of people. The natural urge is to fight back, to defend your reputation, to make sure nobody misunderstands who you are. Yet when you stand tall and remain silent, you send a stronger message than if you had defended yourself. People see calmness as a sign of confidence. They think to themselves, only someone who is sure of who they are can resist the need to explain. Silence becomes your shield, protecting your dignity and leaving others to question their own behavior. Instead of focusing on your reaction, people begin to notice the immaturity of the person who tried to provoke you. Silence exposes them more than your words ever could. Silence is not about avoiding conflict, it is about choosing battles that matter. Every time you respond to negativity, you are giving it power. Every time you argue with someone who has already made up their mind, you are wasting precious energy. There are moments in life when silence says, I am above this. It communicates self-respect without you having to say a single word. It shows that you value your peace more than the opinions of those who seek to disturb it. The silence you hold becomes your greatest armor because it is unbreakable. No one can twist your words if you don't give them any. No one can misquote you, misinterpret you, or use your emotions against you. Your silence is clean, pure, and impossible to manipulate. There is also a quiet confidence in knowing that you do not owe anyone an explanation. The world will constantly try to demand reasons for your choices, your actions, and your lifestyle. But the moment you start explaining yourself to everyone, you fall into a cycle of dependence on their understanding. Silence frees you from that cycle. It says, I know who I am, I know what I am doing, and I do not need your approval. That kind of silent assurance is magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't feel the need to justify their every move. They are intrigued, they wonder what gives you such strength, and in their curiosity, they begin to respect you even more. Think about the times when silence has been more powerful than noise. In history, in relationships, in business, some of the strongest statements have been made not by shouting, but by refusing to speak. Silence makes people listen in a different way. It creates space for reflection. It forces others to sit with their own thoughts instead of being distracted by your defense. Even in personal relationships, silence can be more effective than endless explanations. If someone chooses to misunderstand you, no number of words will change their mind. But when you go silent, they eventually realize the weight of your absence. They notice the void left behind when your voice is no longer available to them. That is when they start to question themselves, and often they come back with regret. Silence is also deeply connected to patience. It teaches you to trust the passage of time rather than forcing results through arguments. Sometimes silence is simply waiting for the right moment. You don't always need to confront someone immediately. You don't always need to prove them wrong in the heat of the moment. Time has a way of revealing the truth, and silence gives space for that truth to come out naturally. When you stay silent, you allow reality itself to defend you. You allow the facts to surface without you having to push them. And when they finally do, your silence makes you appear even wiser, because you never wasted your words trying to force what was already destined to be revealed. Silence also protects your energy. Every word you speak requires energy. Every explanation you give drains you a little more. When you learn to stay silent, you conserve your strength for the things that actually matter. Instead of wasting your time on arguments, you pour your energy into growth, into improvement, into creating a life so powerful that it cannot be denied. While others are busy talking, you are busy building. And when the time comes, your success will speak louder than all the arguments you could have made. Silence is not just about withholding words, it is about redirecting your focus toward things that actually elevate you. There is another layer of silence that people often overlook, the silence that makes others restless. When someone expects a reaction from you and you give them none, they are left unsettled. They wonder what you are thinking, they wonder why you didn't reply, and they begin to overthink. Silence shifts the pressure from you onto them. They start to analyze their own actions, their own words, their own intentions. They replay the moment in their head, trying to understand why you didn't respond. In that stillness, they often realize the weight of their own mistake. Your silence becomes their mirror, forcing them to face themselves. Silence is also the mark of emotional maturity. It shows that you no longer need to win every argument, that you don't need to be right in every discussion, that you don't need to prove yourself to everyone who doubts you. You have grown enough to understand that not every opinion matters, not every person deserves a reply, and not every situation needs your voice. Silence shows that you are selective about where you place your energy. It is proof that you have evolved beyond the need to constantly react. People often confuse silence with surrender, but in reality, it is mastery. Mastery over yourself, mastery over your emotions, mastery over your mind. The truth is, silence is not empty, it is full of meaning. It carries weight, it carries authority, it carries a presence that words sometimes fail to capture. It teaches you that you don't need to speak to be understood, you don't need to argue to be respected, and you don't need to shout to be heard. In fact, silence makes people lean in, it makes them pay attention. It makes them curious, and in that curiosity, your power grows. The world often tells you that if you don't speak up, you will be forgotten. But there is a difference between silence born of fear and silence born of strength. Fearful silence hides, but strong silence shines. It doesn't run away, it simply stands firm, unshaken by noise. Strong silence tells the world, I don't need to speak for you to know my worth. My presence is enough. That kind of silence cannot be ignored. Silence is also deeply healing. It allows you to process your own emotions without external influence. When you stop talking, you start listening to yourself, to your instincts, to your inner voice. Silence clears the clutter of outside opinions and helps you see situations with greater clarity. It allows you to rise above chaos and make decisions that come from wisdom rather than impulse. That is why people who practice silence often seem more composed, more stable, more grounded. They are not easily shaken because their strength comes from within, not from external validation. When you embrace silence as strength, you begin to notice how liberating it is. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to those who doubt you. You no longer waste energy on defending yourself against people committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer give away your peace in exchange for temporary satisfaction. Instead, you stand firm in silence and the world eventually adjusts. People who once dismissed you begin to notice you. People who once hurt you begin to feel your absence. People who once expected you to break under pressure begin to realize you are unshakable. That is the real power of silence. It is not passive, it is not weak, it is not surrender. It is strength, it is control. It is respect for yourself. It is the calmness that leaves others restless, the stillness that unsettles those who tried to provoke you, the quiet that speaks louder than any argument you could ever make. Self-respect is the foundation of inner strength, yet it is often tested in moments when others try to provoke a reaction. In a world where people constantly seek validation, where arguments flare up at the smallest spark, and where dignity is too easily sacrificed for the sake of proving a point, self-respect becomes a rare quality. Choosing not to react when someone tries to belittle you is not about weakness, but about valuing yourself enough to know that your peace is not worth losing over meaningless battles. When you learn to put self-respect above reaction, you step into a level of maturity and power that others can feel even in your silence. The instinct to react is human. Someone insults you, and the urge to defend yourself rises like fire. Someone doubts you, and you want to prove them wrong instantly. Someone disrespects you, and your pride pushes you to retaliate. This instinct comes from ego, from the need to show others that you will not tolerate being looked down upon. But the truth is, reacting often drags you down to the level of the person provoking you. In that moment, you may think you are winning by speaking louder, by showing anger, by proving your point. In reality, you are losing the very thing that matters most: your self-respect. Self-respect means knowing that you are not defined by the words or actions of others. It is the deep awareness that your worth does not decrease because someone fails to see it. When you value yourself, you understand that not everyone deserves a response. Not everyone deserves your time, and not everyone deserves the privilege of your energy. By refusing to react, you are not ignoring the disrespect. You are rising above it. You are saying through your silence, "I know who I am, and I do not need to prove it to you." That is the ultimate form of self-respect. There is a kind of dignity that comes from restraint. Think of the times you reacted out of anger. You may have shouted, argued, or defended yourself passionately, but afterward, you probably felt drained, even regretful. Words spoken in anger often do more harm than good, and they rarely change the mind of someone determined to misunderstand you. On the other hand, think of the times you stayed calm, refused to argue, and chose silence instead. In those moments, you walked away with your dignity intact. You didn't lose yourself in the chaos. That calmness is born from self-respect. It is the choice to protect your peace rather than sacrifice it for temporary satisfaction. When you place self-respect over reaction, you stop giving away your power. Every time you respond to negativity, you are letting someone else control your emotions. They push a button, and you react. They insult you, and you feel compelled to defend yourself. They provoke you, and you fall into their trap. But when you stop reacting, you take back control. You decide that your emotions belong to you, not to anyone else. This is the kind of strength that cannot be taken away, because it comes from within. It is the refusal to let others dictate how you feel, how you act, and how you see yourself. Another important truth is that people notice how you respond to disrespect. If you react every time someone tries to bring you down, they know they have power over you. They know they can control your state of mind with a few words. But if you remain calm, if you choose dignity over reaction, you show them that their attempts are useless. This not only protects your self-respect, but also earns you respect from others. People admire those who can remain unshaken in the face of negativity. They see strength in someone who does not stoop to the level of those who try to provoke them. Without even realizing it, by valuing yourself enough to stay calm, you begin to inspire others. Self-respect also means understanding the difference between response and reaction. A reaction is instant, emotional, and often reckless. A response, on the other hand, is thoughtful, measured, and rooted in self-awareness. Choosing not to react immediately gives you the chance to decide whether the situation even deserves your attention. Most of the time, you will realize it does not. By holding on to your self-respect, you see the bigger picture. You understand that not every insult needs to be addressed, not every critic needs to be answered, and not every situation needs your energy. Imagine someone publicly tries to embarrass you. If you lash out, people will remember the argument, but if you remain calm, people will remember your composure. They will remember how you carried yourself with dignity despite being provoked. They will see your silence as confidence, as proof that you are secure in yourself. That is the beauty of putting self-respect first. It leaves a lasting impression that words cannot. People forget arguments, but they remember strength. They remember poise. They remember the one who stayed calm when everyone else expected chaos. There is also freedom in valuing self-respect over reaction. You are no longer trapped in the cycle of trying to prove yourself to others. When you constantly react, you are living for external validation. You are saying, "I need you to understand me. I need you to see my worth. I need you to know I am right." But when you choose self-respect, you are saying, "I know my worth, whether you see it or not." That freedom is priceless. You no longer feel the need to win every battle, because you know you have already won the most important one, the battle within yourself. This mindset shifts the way you live. Instead of wasting energy on meaningless arguments, you invest it in growth. Instead of trying to prove yourself to people who don't care, you focus on proving yourself to the person who matters most, you. You channel your strength into building, improving, and rising higher, while those who tried to bring you down are left frustrated by your lack of reaction. They wanted your attention, your energy, your time, but you refused to give it to them. You chose yourself. That is self-respect in its purest form. Even in personal relationships, self-respect is essential. Sometimes people test your boundaries to see how much they can get away with. If you react emotionally every time, they learn that your emotions can be played with. But if you quietly enforce your boundaries, if you walk away from disrespect without a fight, you teach them that you value yourself too much to stay where you are not respected. Self-respect teaches others how to treat you. When you refuse to compromise your dignity, you attract people who recognize your worth. On the other hand, if you constantly react to mistreatment, you send the message that your self-worth depends on their behavior. That gives them power over you. Respecting yourself means never allowing that power to be taken. Placing self-respect above reaction also teaches you patience. It allows you to see that life has a way of bringing justice without your intervention. You don't need to prove someone wrong immediately. Time has a way of revealing the truth. When you stop reacting and focus on your journey, eventually those who disrespected you will see your strength through your progress. Your success will do the talking, and your dignity will remain untouched. The best revenge is not in shouting back, but in showing through your life that you rose above the negativity. People often fear that if they don't react, they will look weak. But true weakness is being so controlled by others that you cannot resist reacting. Strength is being able to walk away without lowering yourself. Strength is smiling when others expect you to break. Strength is holding your peace when chaos surrounds you. Those who value self-respect over reaction understand that dignity is more valuable than winning an argument. They know that keeping their calm is a greater victory than proving a point. Self-respect is not arrogance. It does not mean thinking you are better than others. It means valuing yourself enough to know what deserves your attention and what does not. It means protecting your peace, your energy, and your worth from those who try to diminish it. It means refusing to let anger, pride, or ego make decisions for you. It is the quiet strength that comes from knowing that nothing anyone says can change who you are inside. That knowledge is unshakable. That knowledge gives you a kind of confidence that no one can take away. At its core, self-respect over reaction is about power. Not the kind of power that comes from control over others, but the kind of power that comes from control over yourself. It is the power to remain calm in chaos, the power to protect your dignity, the power to walk away from what does not serve you. This kind of power cannot be broken because it comes from within, and when you live from this place of strength, others will feel it. They will sense that you cannot be manipulated, you cannot be provoked, you cannot be shaken, and in that realization they will respect you, even if they never intended to. There is no reply more powerful than the quiet proof of success. Words can be debated, arguments can be twisted, explanations can be ignored, but results cannot be denied. When people doubt you, when they try to undermine you, when they expect you to fail, the strongest thing you can do is not fight them with noise, but focus on building a life so undeniable that your achievements speak in volumes your voice never could. Success has a language of its own, one that needs no translation, no justification, and no defense. It simply exists, and its presence silences every critic. The temptation to respond to negativity is strong. Human nature urges us to defend ourselves, to prove we are capable, to shout louder than those who try to silence us. But reaction often wastes the very energy needed for growth. Every time you try to explain yourself to someone determined not to believe you, you lose valuable time that could have been invested in your progress. Success requires focus, and focus is impossible if you are constantly distracted by proving yourself to others. That is why letting success be your response is the most intelligent strategy. Instead of reacting to doubt, you quietly pour your energy into building. While they speak, you work. While they gossip, you grow. While they underestimate you, you prepare. And one day, your success appears unshakable and undeniable, leaving them stunned into silence. Success is not just about material achievement. It is about growth in every sense: personal, emotional, spiritual, and professional. When you respond to negativity with progress, you are saying, "I refuse to let your words define my path." That mindset transforms challenges into fuel. Every insult becomes motivation, every doubt becomes a reason to push harder, every obstacle becomes an opportunity to prove that nothing can stop you. Success becomes the echo of your resilience, the proof of your perseverance, the outcome of your refusal to be held down. In this way, you don't just silence your critics, you transcend them. there is a quiet satisfaction in proving people wrong without ever saying a word. Imagine the same people who doubted you watching you rise, the same ones who laughed at your dreams seeing you achieve them, the same ones who left you behind realizing that you outgrew them. That silence is more powerful than any argument you could ever win. Success carries a weight that words cannot match. It is irrefutable. Even those who dislike you cannot deny it. They may never admit it out loud, but deep inside they feel it, and that is enough. Letting success be your response also teaches patience. Success does not happen overnight. It requires discipline, focus, and sacrifice. By choosing not to react to negativity, you learn to trust the process. You no longer feel the need to rush into arguments because you know that time itself will reveal the truth. You may be underestimated today, you may be overlooked tomorrow, but when your results begin to show, no one will be able to ignore them. Time has a way of making everything clear, and your success will stand as living proof of what you endured in silence. People often confuse silence with defeat, but those who understand the power of success know that silence is simply preparation. It is the season where roots grow underground before the tree rises above the soil. It is the hidden work, the unnoticed effort, the countless hours of dedication that no one sees. And then, suddenly, one day, the results appear like a tree breaking through the ground, undeniable, strong, and impossible to overlook. Those who mocked you will not remember the words you said in defense, but they will never forget the success that grew despite their doubt. There is also a deep sense of self-respect in allowing success to speak for you. Instead of lowering yourself to arguments, you carry yourself with dignity, knowing that the life you are building will eventually answer every question. You don't need to beg people to believe in you. You don't need to convince them of your worth. Your results will do it for you. This mindset frees you from the exhausting cycle of validation. You stop living for approval and start living for growth. And in that shift, you gain freedom. Freedom to focus, freedom to build, freedom to rise without distractions. Success as a response is also the most humbling victory. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to parade it in front of anyone. The results themselves are the announcement. People will see it whether you speak or not. That kind of success carries more weight because it comes without noise, without arrogance, without the need for recognition. It is pure, and it speaks for itself. Those who doubted you will realize their mistake not because you told them, but because life itself showed them. And in that moment, your silence will feel louder than any words you could have spoken. It is also important to understand that success is not always about proving others wrong. It is about proving yourself right. When you let success be your response, you are not working for them, you are working for you. You are chasing your potential, your vision, your dreams. The critics are simply background noise. They may think they are the reason you keep going, but in truth, you keep going because you refuse to settle for less than what you are capable of. Success is your personal declaration, your silent testament to the fact that you believed in yourself when no one else did. Every journey towards success is filled with moments of doubt. There will be times when even you question whether it is worth it. In those moments, the urge to react to others becomes even stronger. But that is when you must remember that noise cannot build anything. Noise is temporary, success is lasting. Every time you choose progress over reaction, you add another brick to the foundation of the life you are creating. Slowly but surely, you build something solid, and when it stands tall, it will not matter who doubted you. The only thing that will matter is that you stayed true to your path. Letting success be your response also forces you to grow in silence. It teaches humility, discipline, and resilience. You don't need constant applause, because you know that the applause will come naturally when the time is right. You don't need constant validation, because you understand that the results will speak when they are ready. You don't need to shout about your progress, because those who need to see it will see it when it's undeniable. This quiet growth is the strongest kind, because it cannot be shaken by the opinions of others. It is rooted in real work, not empty words. The greatest satisfaction in life is not in winning arguments, but in building something that makes arguments unnecessary. When your life becomes living proof of your strength, no explanation is required. People respect results. They may ignore your words, they may dismiss your dreams, but when the results stand in front of them, they are forced to acknowledge the truth. Even if they stay silent, their silence will confirm what they feel inside, that they were wrong to doubt you. And you will not need to say anything, because your success will already have spoken. This mindset also teaches you to separate yourself from negativity. You begin to understand that those who criticize you often do so out of their own insecurities. Their doubt is a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. When you let success be your response, you refuse to be pulled into their world. You stay focused on your own vision, your own path, your own growth. And in doing so, you rise above their noise. You prove, without ever saying it, that their negativity had no power over you. When you embrace the philosophy of letting success be your response, life changes. Arguments feel smaller, insults lose their power, doubts become irrelevant. You stop wasting time on noise and start building a future so powerful that it drowns out everything else. The critics will still exist, the doubters will still speak, the negativity will still appear, but it will no longer touch you. Because you know that every moment you choose to work instead of react, you are moving closer to the kind of success that will silence them forever. And when that success finally arrives, you will not need to point fingers or remind anyone of what they said. You won't need to say, "I told you so." You won't need to argue or defend yourself. Your life will be the proof. Your growth will be the evidence. Your success will be the response they never expected, the answer they can never deny, and the silence that speaks louder than anything you could have ever said.